I'm Weston. I love talking about the Rangers, and I am here to recap Game 49 of the regular season. Rangers win 6-3 over the Buffalo Sabres. And this is an eventful day for the Rangers because this was a big win, right? 3-goal win. Looked pretty darn good in it, I might add. And Boston lost, which I will talk about what that does for the playoff race after the actual game. So getting into the game, Igor Shesterkin gets the start. In the first period, 15-11 left. Alexis Lafreniere carries into the offensive zone, and man, just a perfect pass to MIKA Zibanejad, who came flying in off the boards, and he puts it in. Beautiful shot by Zibanejad, beautiful assist by Alexis Lafreniere, and it's 1-0 relatively early on. Now, soon thereafter, at 13:44, the Sabres are putting some pressure on in the Rangers zone, and Jeff Skinner with a beautiful backhanded shot. That's just really, I mean, that was just a fantastic shot by Jeff Skinner. I know it sucks because at the moment it tied the game, but you know, it didn't end up mattering because we won by more than a goal. So a little bit later on, 7:58, the Rangers are passing it around the offensive zone. Kakko has it, he passes to Fox, Fox passes to Hedl, Hedl passes it back to Fox, who starts moving up in the zone, and Hedl lays just a perfect pass. He went skating up in the zone, left his normal position around the blue line, sort of moved up, found a perfect passing lane where there was no one, nothing but white ice in between him and Kaapo Kakko, puts it right over for him, and Kaapo Kakko, boom, beautiful shot, buries it, 2-1 Rangers. And I want to say this because I'm slightly irritated. For the first time, I played Pick'em for MSG, and I said that Kakko would score first, and I said that Jeff Skinner would score first for each team. So MIKA Zibanejad kind of, lost me some money. So if you want to hit me up afterwards, I'll send you my PayPal. Anyway, a little bit later on, 3:43, MIKA Zibanejad tries to make a power move for the puck, and he gets hooked up. He gets taken down, so he draws a penalty. Rangers go on the power play, and on the power play, 2:50 left. Rangers are passing it around. Fox passes to Panarin, and Panarin with one of the most beautiful passes for a tip-in for MIKA Zibanejad. And honestly, tip-in might not even be the right word. It was a weird shot for Zibanejad, who almost just forcefully guided the puck into the net. And it's 3-1 Rangers to cap off the first period. A fantastic period by the Rangers, where they really just asserted their dominance. They had a fantastic power play. They had just good straight-up offense. And Shesterkin looked fine. I think he was a little underwhelming to me tonight, which maybe that's just because he's been playing at such a high level recently that a game where he's normal and 31 of 34 is kind of underwhelming. There's nothing wrong with that. I just expected maybe a little bit more. Granted, the goals were kind of hard to say, oh, that was a shot you really should have had. The Skinner goal was a little bit rough. There was the later one that I'll talk about, which was screened by 3 people, and then there was the other one that I'll talk about in a minute. On to the second period, 17:55. Pavel Buchnevich has it. He puts it over for MIKA Zibanejad, who enters the offensive zone. He goes racing towards the net, fires one on the net, and it just trickles past the goalie, and it goes in, which means it's 4-1. But more importantly, MIKA Zibanejad, third goal of the game, hat trick time. MIKA Zibanejad with his third hat trick of the year and the 6th one of the season for the New York Rangers, which is absurd. That is the most in the league for any team, and I think that is the most in the league for any player. For MIKA Zibanejad getting his third of the season. Man, oh man, has he gotten hot recently. And I want to take a moment to say, I was never aboard the trade MIKA Zibanejad train because it doesn't make sense to trade a player who's been very good for a very long while because he's having a little bit of a cold streak. People were saying we need to sell now and sell low for MIKA Zibanejad, which never made sense to me because we know what he could do. He had a 40-goal season last year, and people were wanting to trade him. He was the leader in goals per game last season, and people were saying, well, he's having a rough start to the season, so cut him, get him off the team. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And now you see why. Since, the halfway mark, so really in about half the game, so say 25 games, he's had 3 hat tricks. 2 of those games, by the way, were 6-point games for MIKA Zibanejad. This is why you don't sell low on a very good player in the National Hockey League, because then he can go on a run like this and make anyone who thought that look kind of silly. So a little bit later on, 9:11 left, which given the fact that the Rangers play in New York is a very sad timing. Ryan Strome gets a tripping call, so the Sabres go on a power play. We killed that off, and then immediately afterwards, Pavel Buchnevich for high sticking. Now, I thought the player was kind of going down to the ice, so I'm not sure it should have been high sticking, but c'est la vie. It's a power play for the Bruins, or the Sabres, I have them on my mind. And then at 5:34, there was a really nice hip check by Ryan Lindgren, which I just wanted to put in because that guy did not see it coming, and Lindgren kind of rocked his world. And then sadly, at 5:13, Olofsson, just with a power play goal, puts it past Igor Shesterkin, high glove side, which, I mean, there were 3 people in front of him. It was a massive screen. Could he have had it? Yeah, maybe he should have, but there was a massive screen in front of him, so I don't think that's all his fault necessarily. And it wasn't even like, oh, the defensemen failed on their job. It was 2 Rangers defensemen that were blocking the shot. Anyway, a little bit later on, 3:49, Artemi Panarin draws a hooking call. Really a bad one where they were not even hooking with the stick, just grabbing him for another Rangers power play. And sadly, we wouldn't do anything with that power play. But that really ended the second period, which was a sort of pretty good one. You know, they got another goal. Mika got his hat trick. We also gave up another goal to the Sabres, so the goal differential is still the same. We still have a 2-goal lead going into the third period, where hopefully they can build on it. Third period, about 5-6 minutes in, 14:08. Philip Hedl draws a tripping call, so the Rangers get a power play. Cool. And on the power play, 12:54 left. Someone takes a shot. I think it was Buchnevich, but I could be wrong. I think it was him, actually, since he's on the second power play team. He takes a shot. It gets kind of bumped around near the net, and Capo Caco is right there, and he says, don't mind if I do. Puts it in, 5-2, power play goal for the Rangers. They extend that lead out to 3 goals, and then soon thereafter, 9:26, Sam Reinhart just left completely wide open by every single Ranger. There was nothing Shesterkin is going to do here. And it's passed him for a 5-3 game. So it's starting to tighten up a little bit. At 5:31, Vitaly Kravtsov would take a tripping call, which is, I think, the first legitimate Kravtsov penalty that he's taken. I could be wrong, and I probably am. But I think all the penalties that he's served have been for infractions on the team, like a delay of game or, too many men. So I don't think he's actually served a penalty to this point, but now I know he did. And then soon thereafter that, 2:31, Colin Blackwell along the boards just kind of was caught sleeping and got blown up into the boards. He looked real bad there immediately after it happened. It was a very scary scene if you were watching the game. Now, thankfully, he was seemingly okay. He didn't go to the locker room. He stayed on the bench. I don't think he came back in the game after the hit because it was brutal, but he wasn't immediately carted off, which is sort of what I thought when it first happened, because it was a nasty hit. Not dirty or anything, it was just completely unsuspected. Then a little bit later on, this was kind of stressful. At 1:32, Ryan Strome takes a slashing call, and they already had an empty net, which means the downside is it's going to be 6-on-4 hockey. The upside is it's going to be an empty net and a power play. So the Rangers, if they get the puck and they get any possession, really, they can take a shot at the goal, and it doesn't matter. And they would. Kevin Rooney would. He would score a 6-3 empty netter, and that would do it for the Rangers. They win a nice 6-3 game. So now back-to-back wins. And boy, this is a huge game to win because just before our game started, the Bruins-Penguins game ended. And the Boston Bruins lost a 1-0 game to the Pittsburgh Penguins, which you now have back-to-back games for the Bruins where they gave up 6 goals to the Buffalo Sabres, and then immediately after that couldn't score a single goal and got shut out, which, man, the Bruins are looking extremely mortal right now. And this is shaping up to be a very interesting last few games for both the Rangers and the Bruins, who both seemingly are going to be taking a shot at that 4th playoff spot. The Bruins have it and, are there with a few points. The Rangers are on the outside looking in. But we got it back down to a 4-point differential, which is within the margin that we have with our final 2 games of the season. The Bruins have 2 after that. But if we can get a 2-point lead against the Bruins going into, after our series is over, if we are up 2, that's going to be big. Because they have 2 hard games. I think it's the Capitals and the Islanders on a back-to-back to cap their season off. And I know at this exact moment, we hold the tiebreaker. We have now, I think, 3 more regulation wins than they do, which is the tiebreaker for us, which is, again, that is just a super huge advantage that we have right now. So if we can, finish this season, if we can go out of the Boston series up 2 points over them, then dang if we don't have a very good shot. So on to our actual game that I'm talking about and not the Bruins hypothetical. Adam Fox, who has recently sort of had a cold streak, not very good defensively, I felt, and kind of quiet on the score sheet, had a 3-assist night tonight. So if you were starting to think maybe he was having a rough patch, he comes in and says, "No, I'm not," and I should still be, in the conversation for the Norris Trophy because, man, he just was great tonight. Capo Caco had a 2-goal game, which is always nice to see. He started to get he's looking better as the season goes along, and again, he is just a force with the puck because you can barely move him off of it. Mika Zibanejad, obviously, player of the game, hat trick in the first 23 minutes of the game, unreal for him. And I also thought this was kind of funny, and I wrote this down. No player on the team had a goal and an assist. Everyone either had an assist or a goal, which I think is funny because, Zibanejad and Caco both had multi-goal games, but neither of them had assists, which I thought was kind of ironic. And Igor Shesterkin, I already kind of mentioned it. I thought he was a little underwhelming. He didn't have a ton of super high-quality saves, I felt. 31 of 34 is still a very good game. I'm not going to complain about that. But from what I saw, I was like, yeah, maybe a touch underwhelming, which is kind of sad to say because I freaking love Igor Shesterkin. I just thought, he wasn't his normal zooming all over the blue paint, looking like a madman as he normally was. Again, still solid, just not the normal Shesterkin we've sort of been used to recently since he's been kind of playing Dominic Hasek Simulator. And again, the Bruins now, massive loss. They are now only 4 points ahead of us. And the Islanders, I know people might not think about this because the Islanders had such a massive lead on us. They're only 7 points ahead of us, and they've sort of been meh as of late. I think they're about 500 or a little below in their past 5-6 games. So it's a possibility maybe that the Bruins take the 3rd spot and we take the Islanders spot. I'm not sure. That's certainly much more difficult in my opinion. Some people say it's actually not. I think it's more difficult to take the Islanders spot than the Bruins since, we're only 4 points behind the Bruins and we both play each other to cap off our season and we actually have the tiebreaker over the Bruins. But man, it's looking like those last 2 games against Boston for the Rangers are going to be massive, massive games as far as the playoffs are concerned, which is very exciting. Those are going to be 2 insane games. I think they're both in Boston. But man, those are going to be playoff atmosphere 100%. And they already, the Rangers and Bruins, have gotten pretty darn physical this season. I think it was the second matchup that we had that had 3 fights in just the second period alone because it was Lemieux, Kreider, and Buchnevich that all got into him. Was it Kreider or was it? I thought it was Kreider. I could be wrong. But man, those are going to be some fun games. And again, Rangers, they're closing the gap. They're climbing the mountain. All we can do right now is play our best hockey and win games and hope that the Bruins continue to struggle like they have of very late. And speaking of our hockey, we play the Buffalo Sabres Tuesday. And again, with the playoff race, this is a must-win game for the Rangers. They have to go out there and they cannot lose to Buffalo. The only team I feel right now that it's okay to lose to is either maybe one against the Capitals or the one against the Islanders. But preferably, you just win out and don't have that issue anyway. But I don't know how likely that is. So, that is it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. I noticed this a little bit earlier. We hit 11,000 total views on the channel, which is... that is just so exciting to me that happened. Because I didn't think my goal was 10,000 by the All-Star break, and... I made that goal at the very end of last month, pretty much at the start of this month, and it didn't even take this month to do it. I think we have almost 4,000 views just in the past month alone, which is absurd. And I just genuinely want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. That just makes me so excited. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And as always, go Rangers.